Thank you. So we'll just open to the floor now. If anyone's got any comments or points, they take the mic over here to Rob. Thank you.
Are we on? Hello, hello, hello. Hello, Robert Thornhill, dairy farmer. Thank you very much. Interesting presentations. A brief comment and 2 questions, if I may, which I hope I may. Now I'm holding the microphone. Firstly, water. Goodness me, where does it come from? It falls from the sky. It's free. And we pay people to put it through the tap. And we thought that was convenient, but clearly, as Neil said, it's not convenient enough for some people. Incredulous indeed. But 2 questions. Firstly, price in nearly all items and commodities is closely correlated to quality. Without exception. I'm not saying it's always value for money, but how can we convince people that the same should apply to foodstuffs? And we should be asking people to ask themselves why some foods are cheap, how and why. And secondly, can you comment please on Coca-Cola's announcement that they are getting involved in the retailing of milk through their collaborative venture with Fair Oaks Partnership? Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Rob. I would just say that for me, I think I said in my little presentation there, it's about defining the values. And for those of you who run livestock of any shape or form in this room, we all have perhaps dairy cows, beef cattle, sheep, whatever, but there is something unique in all of our businesses. It might be the breed of animal you run, it might be the landscape within which you farm. We have an individual identity that we are just not capitalizing on. Now, in terms of delivering that to the marketplace, of course, there are some enormous challenges, and this is one of the things that it is certainly an obstacle to making perhaps, for instance, free-range milk widely available, is we need the processing. We have, I believe, we have the will at the 2 ends of the spectrum in terms of the producers and the consumers. It's that bit in the middle that is difficult. But what we are certainly trying to do is define the values in terms of the way we farm. So the freedom for the cows to graze, the fact that we are producing what I believe is I'm not making big claims about health superiority, but I think there's a lot of messaging and science coming out now to suggest that milk from grass is a really great nutritious product. And there are all the sort of things that we can all look at within our businesses. Just quickly, so I don't take up all the time, regards Fairlife, I did a little tongue-in-cheek blog post about this the other week, actually, where I did sort of ask, remember the advert, Coke, it's the real thing. I'm not quite so sure about Fairlife milk, whether it is the real thing, because it's had this taken out and that put in and one thing and another, and I'm not quite sure it's really what I call milk.
Robert, did you have anything to add to that?
I don't have a massive amount to add to that, to be honest. It'll be really interesting to see how Coke get on with this. I'm not sure whether this is a good thing or a bad thing, but if anyone can market milk successfully, the most successful soft drinks company in the world should be able to, shouldn't they?
Is the elephant in the room maybe that, do we blame supermarkets for using it as a loss leader, so making it look cheap in the consumer's eye, so they think they shouldn't pay more money for it?
But we've allowed them to do that, haven't we? We've actually ended up with the dairy industry that we all deserve because we fragmented. You know, we relinquished power over our precious food chain. You know, we've allowed them to do that, and we've lost our collective strength to do anything about it. You know, they can use it as a loss leader, they can devalue it, they can do whatever they want with it, just like they can a whole range of staple products that are in everybody's supermarket trolley that comes out that comes out the door. So, you know, we've allowed them to do that as producers. So we've kind of got what we deserve in that respect.
Yeah. Any other questions from the floor?
Hi, cheese maker, and I was just wondering, we haven't really talked much about the quality of the milk. You know, you were talking about, you know, the purity of the water. It's pure, and milk straight out of a cow, is great, but can, I don't know, just open up a discussion about whether all of the milk on the shelf is the highest quality that it can be, and do we not need to look at that? Can the dairy industry proudly say that all the milk on our shelves is the highest quality that it can be? Because I don't know if that's true, and you know, raw milk producers and things like that, maybe we need to look at that. And
yeah, it's a good question. Obviously, I'm sure the milk produced from a cow reflects what she eats as well. But you want to comment on that?
I mean, I'm sure it does. I mean, what would lead you to suspect that there's milk and there's milk, if you like? You know, I certainly don't know if there is any clear differentiation between milk and milk, if you know what I mean. I mean, it's all produced under Red Tractor Farm Assurance Standards. You know, that is actually a world-leading animal welfare and farm assurance standard. So milk should, I mean, it is pretty much what it is. I mean, there isn't any clear differentiation between any of it. But then, going back to Rob's comment there, water isn't either, you know. This is about marketing. This is about applying some really sensible marketing and money to something and developing brands. You know, how on earth can you manage to sell water for anywhere from a few pence per litre to pounds per litre when essentially it's the same thing? You know, this is about really clever marketing.
Well, as a cheesemaker myself, I know definitely when I make cheese, when she's in eating hay in the winter, it's very different than when the cows are out eating grass in the summer. And so I will speak up for the pasture-fed, and certainly in beef, it's been proven that the fats in a beef-fed animal, in a grass-fed animal, are much more healthy ratio of omega-3s to omega-6s. And so it would follow, theoretically, that the fats in milk also should follow that. The more pasture they've been fed versus concentrates. But I'm going to say that I'm biased because I'm going for the pasture-fed version. But go ahead, Neil.
Yeah, can I just add that I'm often accused through what I'm doing by highlighting the fact that not all milk is the same, that I'm creating divisions in the industry, I'm doing down other farmers. And on the one hand, I'm told sometimes that we should celebrate diversity when it comes to farming systems. But when it comes to milk, I'm told that we should all work together to get the value of milk up. But I have a problem with that. Can you imagine Ford, BMW, Volkswagen, some of those major car manufacturers getting together and getting a nice advert on the television with some little plain grey hatchback car to say, cars are great. Where, you know, what's that going to sell? Where's that going to instill value? We have to brand and differentiate and define value. And what I want some of you in the audience do, I mean, I'm sure there are people doing some great things, and if any of you got things you're doing, whether it's microdairies or whatever, you know, we have to get some different ideas coming out, and I urge you, if you've got any radical thoughts, please share them. It would be great.
Yeah. Anyone else at the back there? Oh, there we go. Well done. Thank you.
Is this on? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi. This is quite an in-my-face opportunity. I have come here to promote a marketing site, of which would be this sort of thing. It's called Follow This Food, and works something like TripAdvisor, where small holders can have a page, and to that we link educational notes to it. Yeah, if there's any small holders in here, if you want to come and speak to me afterwards, I can get you signed up and get this thing rolling. Start getting this website going.
Thank you. Okay. Just Simon at the back there. Yes.
Hello. Just that nobody's mentioned the Milk Marketing Board, and isn't this really the problem? Isn't the problem really Thatcherism? That she would love to hear you talking about marketing here. That's what she wants to see, everybody competing in a race to the bottom. And of course the milk industry's been the best one because it's such a good lost leader. Shouldn't we be fighting for a return of the Milk Marketing Board and for proper price regulations?
Robert?
That's a real difficult one, that is. I mean, I'm probably not old enough to remember too much about the Milk Marketing Board, but I do remember everybody wanting to get rid of it. So I'm not sure we did a better job then at marketing milk. I think collectively we operated better as an industry. What we don't have now is an industry that works because we're so fragmented, and I'm not sure we need to, sort of make the milk marketing board again, if you like, for that to happen. Yeah, it's a difficult one. I certainly would. I don't think I'd want to go back there. But I mean, it's not likely to happen. It's one of these things that you don't even consider because it's not going to happen. We are where we are. We're in a free market economy, and that's where it is. I mean, there's probably a good argument for removing food from market economics, to be fair. But that, from my perspective, comes from a much bigger global perspective than the domestic UK dairy industry.
Can I just quickly say that I think I wouldn't call for a return to the milk marketing board, but I still think there is lots and lots of opportunity for collaboration. I mean, within this room, there are an awful lot of like-minded people, and I think we're failing to explore some of those opportunities, and we should look more to collaborate, and that way we have a voice, that way we get brands out there, we get public recognition. Social media is fantastic. There are all sorts of means to convey messages these days and get our name out there, but it's about working together.
Who's next? Could you just introduce yourselves with your name before you speak? Thank you.
Yes, hello, my name is Julian Rose. I am the founder and chairman of the Association of Unpasteurised Milk Producers and Consumers, organic ex-dairy farmer from South Oxfordshire. I'm of deepest sympathy for all dairy farmers in Britain today, and I very often try and lend a hand to Farmers in Action when there's an attempt to block one of these milk processing factories taking milk to one of these monstrous supermarkets. And I know that, it's the sort of extremist end of the profession to have to do that, but you do have to do that, believe me, because people in power, in positions of power and authority, are only interested in power and money, and we are not. As farmers, we're supposed to be interested in welfare, in beauty, in excellent quality of food, and in doing a really good job. And these two things simply don't match. You cannot address your market as a supermarket. That plays you down immediately into low quality, low standards, mass production, homogenization, pasteurization, ultra heat treated milk, and no one can claim that that milk is a high quality product. Once it's been pasteurized and homogenized, you've killed all the best elements in it, and you'd be better off drinking water. Now, I say all this with a great deal of sympathy for mainstream dairy farmers, believe me. I've many, many years in dairy farming myself with a herd of Guernsey cows. But I sold everything local, I sold everything fresh, I sold everything organic and unpasteurized. And there is a genuine market in there, coupled with the micro dairy, which is beginning to take shape now, a targeted, health-conscious public. I would suggest, and it's radical, that anybody with a very large herd of cattle who's trying and struggling to get a decent price for their milk in the mainstream market had better change their policy and fast. I would bring your cows right back to 15, diversify your farm into at least 2 or 3 other productions which are satisfying the consumer interest in local, regional, fresh, flavorful and food. Restaurants, hospitals, you name it. Because we haven't got much longer in this mass-produced milk profession. And I say that, as I said, with the greatest sympathy for your problem. Thank you.
So is the answer going back to lots of micro dairies then around the country?
Well, I think out of disaster is born, new thinking, and I said there, we can't. I said it, we need a revolution, and perhaps micro dairies are the spark for that revolution.
Okay, who's got the? Has somebody got the mic? Yep, go ahead. The gentleman just right there then. Yep.
Hello, Tom Migby, dairy farmer. I don't want to put her on the spot, but can I just say Sally here is the only person who has established a successful milk brand, the Omsko milk brand, which has kept many of us in business. I don't even want to also speak about the absolutely better. It's the only time that you've tried to test milk and work out which milks in the country are better, and in the end, the most determining factor was the water the cows were drinking.
Interesting. Thank you. Yeah. Go on.
I don't know whether you want me to mention it, but we started in about 1999. In 2000 and in 1994, at deregulation, we set up OMSCO, the Organic Milk Suppliers Co-op, because and at that stage there were 64 different milk groups. And so I actually tell you that we didn't, I don't know how many of you were dairy farmers at that time, but we knew it was going to spell disaster. as organic farmers, we were lucky. When we found we were in oversupply in 1999 due to not understanding the market, we set about branding ourselves and understanding the consumer. We took we took pence per litre from our processors because we said, look, you can't do it, but we can because we're an organisation. Because you're dealing, Wiseman and Co. We're both dealing both with standard milk and with organic milk, and it would have been a conflict of interest. So we employed a professional marketer. He'd been marketing director of Duracell International. He was very sympathetic, and he absolutely understood how we did it. We had about 400,000 quid a year, and we grew the market by 30%. We got ourselves a very good logo, which we focus grouped. We did everything. I remember the first time I went to a focus group, and I said to David, I think I know what they're going to say. And you said, no, you know nothing. You know nothing because you are so close to it. And when I sat in that room in Windsor, listening to people who were our target market, I realized we were so different. There was even a comment to say that they didn't like single siting because if all the organic products were in one place, they didn't want to go near there because they thought we were all weirdos. So that's how divorced we are as farmers from our consumer. And so it worked very well. We grew the market at 30%. We didn't use advertising because advertising is too expensive, and also it's a message which you have to just know very quickly. So once you know something, you can see it. So we used PR, and we used a PR company who was sympathetic, and they didn't. And I remember some of my farmers used to say to me, "Well, I haven't seen any stuff that you've had in the press." And I say, "Well, do you read Bella and Chat? Because that's our target market. It's not in Horse and Hounds, not in the Farmers Weekly. It's in those magazines." And we did grow the market. And at the time, when I left OMSCO, we were also just developed our own milk bottle and milk brand as well, because unless you can own all the producers, the Milk Marketing Board was set up because farmers were going bankrupt. My own grandfather went bankrupt before the milk, well, actually after the milk market, he still went bankrupt after the Milk Marketing Board. But it was set up because farmers wouldn't stick together. And if they won't stick together, then you've got to brand. And as you know, Coca-Cola spend 20% of all their income, all their money on marketing. And even a company like Cadbury's will say they have to market every day. And that's just as simple as that. So it is really about marketing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Who am I coming to over here? Thanks. I'm Nick Green from Incredible Farm in Todmorden. We're a very new entrant to this, and we're a couple of years away from selling any milk. But we've, as complete amateurs, have some experience in branding and marketing just by trying it and making it work, and we've built a project people know about because of that. And thinking about all this and experience with the cows that we've got is there's 8 million dogs in this country and 8 million cats in this country. We're a country of animal lovers. So in addition to the qualities of the milk that we could be pushing, don't forget that they're delightful animals. They're beautiful. And a well-kept cow and a well-humanized cow is a delight. And it's a marketing person's dream. And it's not a depressing scenario where we've messed up. It's a real big opportunity. So let's get it.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Joanne Philpott. I'm not a farmer and I shop in the supermarkets. I buy my milk according to the colour of the lid. I'm now on red and I've been told I need to go to green. But if there was a purple, which meant pasture-fed and locally produced, I'd buy the purple. And as this gentleman said, the love of animals and welfare is such that I'm sure the marketing side doesn't need to be that fancy. Just a purple. For those of us with a bit of disposable income, can pay a bit more for pasture-fed, locally produced. I think the marketing could be quite simple, but according to the colour of the lid.
Thank you. Yes? He's coming round right now. Oh, there we go. front next. Go on, you go. Go ahead. You.
Thanks. I'm Kathleen from Food Assembly. I was just wondering about raw milk and where this kind of falls in the debate, and like how much interest is there in dairy farmers in selling raw milk? I know obviously there's a bit of a scare around the kind of health aspect of it, but the disease aspect of it. But with my work with Food Assembly, we support farmers to sell directly to customers, and a lot of the raw milk farmers that we speak to are at capacity because there's so much demand for it. So just wondering about that aspect of the debate.
Well, I can probably comment on that. I do produce raw milk, and there is a really high demand for it. Obviously, there are different requirements and different sort of testing requirements for the farmer producing raw milk. So if you're producing it in bulk, it's much more difficult, and you've got a lot of cows to deal with and a lot of different hygiene requirements. But certainly there is demand for it. If more people could produce it, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Hiya, my name is Mark. I was just wondering if I could bring up an issue which no one's really talked about at this conference at all, and it's a bit self-serving, but I was wondering if you could comment on what part goat dairying can play in the future of commercial milk.
Boy, you're way out of my field of expertise there.
Cyborg. Comments?
Well, I actually had a couple of goat farmers approach me, say, could they get free-range dairy accreditation? And we would welcome goat producers who were committed to grazing their goats, or keeping them outdoors. Again, I have very little understanding of how the goat milk industry, but it seems to me an awful lot are housed. And yeah, but if you wanted to talk to us about that, I'd be more than happy.
Okay, we've got, oh yes, Max just there. We've got one more.
Sorry, who was Max?
Oh, go.
Thank you. I think we've all as farmers got to realise if we're just producing milk, it's a commodity. So there's two things you've got to do is look at marketing, but if you don't understand your costs, because you're producing a commodity, I've come from the carrot industry, and when you realise you're either producing a commodity and you've got to get your costs right, or you go into the marketing side. Marketing, if you do your marketing, you must, and up-spec something, you must be in control of that production. Organic produce, I would say, is a commodity because you've got competition. So if you do marketing, you've got to point product differential. So the pasture-fed, and that's why I'm here. You've got to have a point and control it. So, you know, it's been have you comments on the marketing and how you would promote and keep control of the free-range dairy?
Since you mentioned free-range dairy at the end there, I'll sort of butt in, but this is one thing we're looking at long and hard, is how we set about this. When I started this, it was really because I was just sick to death of watching farmers run faster to stand still, and I thought, you know, I ran what was one time the biggest privately owned dairy farming business in the country, 3,000 cows on 13 different sites. I ran a big business in Devon with 1,000 cows on 3 sites, and people always say, oh, it's all right for you, farmer, you're big, you know, your costs are down. And we chase costs and we chase costs. And the guy I worked for over the last 15 years used to say to me, stop just going on about costs. You've got to get the price of milk up. And I just think, how ridiculous is that? What can I do to get the price of milk up? But we can differentiate. But I think it's really important that we do approach the marketplace in the right way. And so what we're looking at very much is working with what we're perhaps going to call pioneer farmers. So people who are already established with their own outlets, who have a brand. We're looking to endorse existing brands and strengthen existing brands and deliver to the people who do value high quality food, perhaps the people the lady mentioned back there with more disposable income, to create awareness of the values rather than make an approach to a mainstream processor or retailer at day one who is immediately going to talk about logistics and why it's difficult to segregate it and why they can only pay us this and why they can only pay us that. And it's really important, I think, if we as producers are to capture and hold on to the value, that we start by being brave enough to say to the marketplace, actually, you've got to come to us to some extent. Now, that sounds kind of stupid, maybe. We have got to get out there and tell positive stories, but I don't want to have to go doing a hard sell on free-range milk to people. I want it to be sold into markets where people will get it, will value it, and build from there. So that's our kind of strategy.
I don't have a lot extra to add to that, only that we've really allowed milk to become a commodity. You know, over the last 2 or 3 decades, we've chosen to not innovate, not develop brands, not develop the products. We import a lot of the high value-added dairy products now and export the benefit of that. So now we're really exposed to massively fluctuating global commodities. And that's where we are. And yeah, cost of production. I mean, I wouldn't be in business if I didn't know my cost of production. You know, we're at the bottom of trough now, but in 18 months, 2 years' time, we'll be at the top again, and dairy will be as scarce as it was 12 months ago when we were right on the top. So that's the reality of life. Yeah.
And maybe also that's partly where some micro dairies can come in, and what Hugh is planning to do. Your unique selling point is you're doing it locally, you're doing it small, and you can sell directly to the end customer and sell your story of what you're doing. So it doesn't really help the really big guys, but micro dairies could help make that something special to differentiate their milk. So,
yeah, I'd like to
ahead.
make that point. Matt Dale, I set up Northwestern Dairy. Yeah, I think micro dairies, where there is a good market, can offer a good alternative solution. Not necessarily because they're micro. You know, I've seen perfectly good nano dairies and slightly larger dairies. It's not the micro bit. I think it's the direct sales bit. So the difference is that generally micro dairies are price setters rather than price takers. And it's within their power to do that. And they do always have an individual story to tell about their location, about their breed, about the people that run them. I think that's the differentiation. And there can often be a difference in quality of the milk. We're not aiming for homogeneity in the product. And our customers notice and actually like the seasonal variability in the milk and the change in quality throughout the year as they go to pasture. We have to, you know, we tell them about everything. So, and we rarely lost a customer, basically, you know, increasing support. So it can be an alternative. It can be an option, basically, yeah.
I think you know, you've got a really good point with micro dairies, and it is certainly part of the solution. What I really struggle with is how on earth do you scale that up? We've got a massive TB problem. And the reason we pasteurise milk is because of consumption. You know, years ago, cattle with TB, so that is why we pasteurise milk. So, yeah. But we have discussed quite a bit about unpasteurised, unhomogenated, you know, the whole thing.
I would just say that also I think that, picking up on that point, Robert, that there is huge scope still for differentiation. You know, it's not just raw milk and pasteurised milk. It's homogenization. It's the breed of cattle you kind of milk, you know, Robert's milking Jerseys and the kind of milk you get. There are all sorts of different sort of stages in between that create a clear brand. And you know, the whole thing for me is this game has got to change from volume-driven to value-driven, and that's what's wrong right now. Here we had presentations earlier on talking about up to 50% of all the food in the world never reaching anyone's plate. And Mark Eisler talking about milk being the third most wasted product in the UK. I think 780 million pounds or something worth of dairy a year being thrown away. And that's where the volume game is leaving us, you know, and it's that shift for me about from volume to value.
Yeah, thank you. I've just been told we have to wrap up. So have we got time for one more? No, that's the end. Well, thank you very much. Thank you.